Oh my God. You guys come in here, sit down, and shut the door. I know you are still reeling from the federal government, dropping major, the most emotionally charged offenses against Diddy. And I put my ear to the ground and I'm seeing what is being said. But here's the thing we have to talk about. Just keep your mind open because at this point, we have to talk about everything, not just the things that we know, not just the things we want to believe, but what actually may be happening now. We need to talk about Diddy and how what the feds did might be his road to pardon. Okay, here's the truth. Everyone's whispering, but no one's saying outright. Did he cut a secret deal with the feds? I know. But hear me out. Just because the government well, okay, hear me out. Let me organize the thoughts. Let's get into this because the government just dropped all the state charges. Kidnapping, attempted arson, aiding smacks, trafficking gone, and all that's left are federal charges. And if you've been paying attention, you already know you can't be pardoned for state convictions, but you can be pardoned for federal ones. And our president has signaled that if he sees evidence that Sean Diddy Combs was being treated unfairly, he would consider a pardon. Those were his words, not mine.
Present,
Google
and
it.
no
And I
longer has a
didn't want to
voice who will
believe the
pursue
reports
justice
at
for her
first. But
accusation.
y'all, they're getting louder.
As of the
What
taken
if the
against
feds
Diddy,
want this case
no
to be
expansion
federal
of the
only?
investigation,
And what if
no
Diddy gave
isolation
them
orders,
something,
no
or
equipment
someone behind
access,
closed doors?
no suspension
And
of
if
attorney
so, what does this
communication.
mean for justice, for the victims, and for the truth? Don't worry, y'all. I got the receipts, I got the legal play-by-play, and I'm gonna walk you through everything. The headline won't tell you, y'all. Let's go. Okay, now just to catch you up to speed, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, late money prosecutors dropped some of the most dramatic charges against Sean Diddy Combs. You guys know that was the attempted kidnapping under California and New York law, attempted arson, and aiding sex trafficking. Okay, now officially they're calling it streamlining of jury instructions, but off the record, in back rooms, people are nervous. They're whispering and they're wondering because this isn't just about legal strategy. This might be about secret deal. Think about it. The state charges were the most graphic, most specific, and the hardest to erase. With a pin stroke, you can't get a presidential pardon for state conviction. But for federal charges, you can. Okay, since they've erased all state and they only leave federal standing, you have to question, did he hand over names, locations, or footage that helped build a bigger case? And is this the price of playing with power at this level? Protection in exchange for silence. Because here's the dangerous truth. If this was a quiet cooperation deal, it helped Diddy in more ways than one. First, it makes him look less dangerous. See, you guys, no kidnapping, no arson. Just your friendly neighborhood pervert. Second, it creates the appearance that the case is weakening. Just appearance softening public outrage just in time for the defense's big finish, which is their closing argument. And third, and this is the part people are forgetting, it opens the door to a future pardon. Remember, federal crimes can be erased by a presidential signature, but state convictions sit. So the question becomes, did the federal government just remove the only thing standing between Diddy and a clean political escape? And while we're asking these questions, listen, because some people are like, oh, don't worry, the state's gonna bring up charge. Well, I have a question. Where are the state prosecutors? Why haven't California and New York DA stepped up and said, we'll pursue those charges ourselves? Their silence speaks volumes, and I'm gonna walk you through everything. Whether it's legally possible for Diddy to cut a deal without public knowledge, how a presidential pardon could play out, and why the absence of state level action right now is either strategy or surrender. You guys stay with me because once you understand this map, you'll see exactly what path they might be paving. Okay, let's walk you through this like it's a legal trademark. The feds dropped only state-based crimes, not federal attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding smacks trafficking. They kept the federal recall, federal smacks trafficking, and forced labor and obstruction of justice. Now, what's the legal significance of that state? Crimes can't be pardoned by the US president. Federal crimes can. The fact that only unpardonable charges were removed raises the questions why and why. Now some people said, now here's the thing you have to keep in mind. These aren't state prosecutions. They're federal prosecutors trying to use state criminal statutes to help make their case. Now that was rare. It's legal, but it's also very messy. Why did they include them? Because sometimes state definitions cover gaps that federal law doesn't, especially when it comes to violent or coercive conduct. So the million-dollar question, if Diddy is cooperating, why drop the state-based counts? Well, here's the plausible cooperation logic. State law-based charges are easier to drop quietly. They aren't the headline. Federal charges like RICO and sex trafficking, dropping them gives the defense a visible win without touching the big federal accounts, which the feds still need for leverage, and it signals progress in cooperation without confirming it. No paperwork has to be filed publicly at this stage, so they may have the drop charges may have been a symbolic trade-off. You help us with X, Y, and Z, and we'll make sure those state charges don't follow you after the trial. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people said, like, Robin, my girl Robin said, but wouldn't cooperation be on public record? Well, guys,
Present,
yes
and no
no.
longer has
Or
a
actually
voice who
not
will
yet,
pursue
and
justice for
sometimes
her
not
accusation.
ever, depending on
As
how
of the
deal
taken
is
against
structured.
Diddy, no
Cooperation
expansion of the
agreements are
investigation,
often
no
under
isolation
seal
orders,
to protect
no
against
equipment
active
access, no
investigations
suspension of
on
attorney
known targets
communication.
who might not know they're being watched, and safety of the cooperator. The public usually doesn't find out until sentencing, when the prosecution says, Mr. Combs provided substantial assistance. We recommend a lighter sentence, under 5K. One, taking it to legal deals with cooperators are often sealed under Rule 6E of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Grand jury materials informant deals and cooperation agreements can be kept secret for national security, safety, or investigative reasons. United States Veto Court actually upheld, and this is a 1995 Second Circuit decision, so it rules this case courts upheld sealing cooperation deals to protect identities and preserve ongoing investigations. So yes, Diddy could be cooperating without us ever seeing it publicly. And again, don't forget, cooperating with feds doesn't always look like testifying. It can mean providing names, documents, devices, and even helping decode encrypted evidence. In cases like Operation Varsity Blues, celebrities helped without testifying, but their cooperation was rewarded behind the scenes. This keeps reputations intact and protects the government's leverage in ongoing investigations. Now, the state may stay quiet on purpose. State prosecutors in New York and California have said nothing about refiling or pursuing these drop charges. Why? Possibilities, let's go through them. The Fed asks them to stand down during an ongoing broader federal probe. If Diddy is helping build bigger cases, filing state charges too early could expose cooperating witnesses, including Diddy, and political coordination between the DOG and the state AGs is common when elite defendants are involved. Now, this does mirror silent cooperation deals in major cases. Tekashi 69, he cooperated secretly. Feds minimized his charges. No early leaks, public found out after sentencing. Let's also not forget Sammy the Bull Gravano's case, murder. Charges dropped because he gave up the entire Gambino hierarchy. We see the pattern: drop some charges, now protect informant, cash out later. And let's also not forget that the presidential pardon angle is real. Trump pardoned multiple federal criminals with no public reasoning, including Rob Begoli, the former Illinois governor convicted of corruption, Michael Flynn, who actually lied to the FBI, and Kodak Black, and Lil Wayne under federal gun charges. If Diddy is only convicted on federal charges and keeps political connection strong, Trump, or even a future president, could wipe the all out away in the future. That's why the removal of state charges matters so much. There's also strategic optics. They are saying that is softened defendant makes pardon easier. There's no kidnapping, no arson, no physical violence, and charges anymore. The public of op shift from monster predator to music mogul who made mistakes. It's a softer image. It makes it easier for a future president to justify a pardon, especially if Diddy claims he was targeted or canceled. You guys, this is a gamble, but we have to be honest. If you look at legal precedences, we've seen it before. Similar federal simplifications were made in Young Thug's trial. The overcomplication led to chaos, and in the Harvey Weinstein retrial, feds narrowed the scope when cases got too emotionally driven or shaky. The strategy is go big or go home. But when you lose nuance, you also risk losing the jury. You guys,
President,
again,
and no
we are
longer
on
has a
edge.
voice who
We're
will
going
pursue
into
justice
court
for her
today. They are
accusation.
going to have a
As of
legal
the taken
battle
against
from
Diddy,
12-hour
no
to
expansion of
five.
the
The feds just
investigation,
quietly
no
removed
isolation
the
orders,
only charges
no
that
equipment
couldn't be
access,
erased by
no
a
suspension of
president's
attorney
pen, and no
communication.
one's saying why and did he gave them names, documents, or passwords. That deal could stay still forever. But what's not sealed is the fact that the state is saying silent, and that silence may be the loudest clue yet. You guys listen. I'm gonna be dropping a bunch of videos today. We're going to get into this. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna have another video up, probably by the time you are done listening to this. I will talk to you guys soon. Alright, strong Diddy's going down, but we need to make sense of what's going on. And I hope these videos are helping you along the way. I'll talk to you all soon.